Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. I take refuge in Bhagavat Pad Shankara, who is the repository of the Shrutis and Smritis and Puranas, and who is also the benefactor of the world. Atmabodha. (28) in the text. As a lighted lamp does not need another lamp to manifest its light, so Atman, being consciousness itself, does not need another instrument of consciousness to illumine itself. Swabodhe nanya bodhecha bodha rupatayat atmana, etc. So, idea is who illumines the first illuminator. Now, the very idea of another illuminator is not needed because it is said it is self-luminous. As a lighted lamp does not need another lamp to manifest it, so it is self-luminous. So you don't need another sun to illumine the sun. You don't need another light. Why is that? Because in something in logic, in the Nyaya, they say it's called anavastha dosha. So there will have to be a series of other illuminators illuminating the previous ones. And that is, it's called regressus ad infinitum. It's not logically sound, as well as it's not conclusive into getting knowledge of anything. The same thing is saying God created this universe. Who created God? Yeah. What a question. Then they think it's a very intelligent question. Who created? When you say God is a creator. The very word creator. And then, so it's also called regressus ad infinitum. So long time back, even in the days of Aristotle, you say, yeah, you stop here. You don't have to go and find out the cause of the cause, or the cause of the cause, and cause. It will go on and on and on. Why? Because the first proposition itself says it is self-luminous. As a lighted lamp does not need another lamp to manifest its light. So the Atman, being consciousness itself, does not need another instrument of consciousness to illumine itself. And you can see that consciousness does illumine itself. When we talk about consciousness, at least in our limited way, we can see it's always you're conscious of yourself. Or there's a kind of quibble of the language. You're aware of your awareness. Yeah. So consciousness has a quality of reflecting itself, as it were. So we say that it is self-conscious. Now, self-consciousness, I'm not talking about self-consciousness. You look at somebody and that somebody becomes a little kind of uncomfortable. Not that. Yeah. Even that also can be attributed. But self-consciousness is a different thing. So it has the quality of knowing itself. And this is where Vedanta begins. You can know yourself by yourself. You don't need any other agency. You don't need somebody to tell you, somebody will come and say, hey, you are that. That the guru does, but you got to do it on your own. The idea, you don't need another agency to tell you that you are that Atman. So like a lamp that does not need another lamp to illuminate. The implication is this. And this is where Vedanta gets its entire force. You have to dig and find out. We have a telltale sign of this. Like we are conscious of ourselves. And that, as I said, is the starting point. And now that's only the starting point. And you keep on digging and digging and digging, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Then you'll find your consciousness here, that you know yourself, has to be in others also. Because they also have the same quality. And then you'll say, okay, then you have to include them also in your consciousness. Because we feel an affinity for life. Because there's something called love. So this love also is an aspect of that consciousness only. Consciousness is not sterile consciousness. No. That's why Vedanta says it is existence. It is consciousness. And it is bliss or love. People, they say, what is Brahman and what is consciousness? Make it very sterile. Actually, it's not. So, the note says, just what I was trying to explain, it will end into a regresses ad infinitum, infinite regress. If another kind of consciousness is assumed for that purpose, then the question may be asked as to what illumines the second consciousness. And then we are faced with an infinite regress. On the other hand, if it is said the Atman is illumined by the light that belongs to the Atman alone, then an objection here, what is it? It is that the answer hardly gives any satisfaction. You're the Atman and you don't need another Atman to prove that you exist. But then they say, it may be contended that an ignorant man does not know the nature of the Atman at all. You say you know yourself, the Atman knows itself, but where are we? How do we know? Yes, as I said, there's a telltale, it's kind of a residue, and you have an inkling of it. Because you are now seeing it through only a kind of a peephole. One point of time, the whole door will disappear, and then the whole wall will disappear. So that does not mean that because a person who is not ignorant, who is ignorant of the Atman, will stand up and say, the Atman does not exist because I do not exist. How is that possible? Does anybody say like that? But there are some people who say that. I do not exist. And I'm firmly convinced that you also do not exist. So he's saying it's like defining fever as a form of illness which has all the symptoms of fever. So fever is not an illness. Fever is the symptom of something else. So it's saying no one can deny or doubt the existence of one's own self. That is where he's saying the Atman is self even of the one who denies or doubts its existence. No thinking is possible without the consciousness, I am. Now, it's not the small ego, okay? Now, there is no other way to translate this. It's an Atmabodha, that I am. And we have different conceptions of what I stands for. And generally it is through some psychology or some sociology or something that we have developed an idea of what constitutes me, the ego. So the ego says I. In Vedanta, that has to be dismissed. Because he's saying the real I behind I am is the Atman. It's not that simple ego. In day after tomorrow's talk, I will be talking about the self and the shadow. So how the dynamics are played. So it's mainly based on Carl Jung's, you can say, psychology of self and shadow and individuation. And even Carl Jung, does not take the ego to be that Freudian ego. He has dismissed it, saying that's just one mechanism. So people say, I am the Atman. It's not the ego that the ordinary sense of the ego. It is much deeper than it illumines the ego. Because in Vedanta, even the sense of I is only a vritti, a wave in the mind. The inner instrument called Antakaran has memory, has mind, has intelligence, and the sense of I. So whenever one thing happens, it's always joined to the other things. So if one wave arises in the mind called chitta vritti, it has memory, it has intelligence, it has a sense of I, and it has also the sense, the mind. Mind is sankalpa vikalpa, it moves. Constantly it's deliberating. So every wave, people think, oh, there's chitta vritti. Chitta vritti is not only chitta. Chitta, mano, buddhi and ahankara. Everything are kind of coalesce. It's a one entity. Just to make us understand the various components of that unit, we have said. So from this itself, it is part of the mind, the generic mind. It is not part of the Atman, the I. So the Atman reflects in the mind and everywhere else, and so that sense of I exist, asti, is just asti, the pure sense of asti. And the Upanishads also say that you have to hold on to this sense of pure I, without all the various things associated with it, and then go deeper and deeper and deeper. So this is a starting point, and this is where, whether you're ignorant or whether you're knowledgeable, you don't doubt your own existence. Because if the ego was your existence, then when you go to sleep, there is no ego. That means you exist. Somehow I come back, I die and come back. Well, you come back the same person. So there it's there. It was sleeping. So proposition has been, the following objection may be raised. He's saying, if the Atman is self-luminous and its manifestation is natural, spontaneous and independent of any agency, there's no, just you, then liberation through self-knowledge can be achieved without effort or discipline. Since knowledge and consciousness is intrinsic in the Atman, yes, this has been the problem. If you are the Atman, your real identity, and it's self-luminous, it's eternal, it's existence, it's consciousness, what do you do now? Don't do anything. don't do anything. You will not realize the Atman. So there was a monk who had come to Dakshineshwar when Sri Ramakrishna was there, and the people are complaining about him, saying, "What is this? This monk is not behaving well. There's some getting himself into trouble." So Sri Ramakrishna goes and says, "Hey, what is this I'm hearing about you? Is it true?" So I'll explain. He's saying, if the world is an illusion, then whatever I've done also is an illusion. And Sri Ramakrishna says, I spit on this Vedanta. So just, the Atman, it is never born and never dies. Oh, very well. And now that you know that, immediately the second thought is, hey, bring me that hot rotis, okay? Quickly. It's called, they say, Jagat teen kaal mein hai nahi. That is, the world does not exist in the three periods of time: past, present, and future. Get hot rotis now. Hey, what is this? This is our Vedanta. Many Vedantas are like this. So, just after the Vespers, we had a reading, and Swami Turiyananda is saying that this Atman cannot be realized without tapasya, austerity. It's translated as austerities. It is nothing but tapasya is the concentration of your senses and the mind into a single point. That is what is called tapasya. That's the highest form of tapasya. It's not like we hear in the Puranas, some great rishis and all, they're standing on one leg. They've taken the one leg, folded it on this, and they're standing like this for thousands of years. That also tapasya. Then God comes and Brahma comes, hey, please, our thrones are shaking. What do you want? Those are mythological stories. Why? Showing that they are doing that concentration through the medium of pain. When there's pain, your mind is concentrated on the pain, no doubt about it. So the idea, it is just that concentration. Drishyatetva grayabud. It is seen through a one-pointed fine instrument. So you might say, oh, we don't have anything. It is a license in the hands of ignorant people. I don't have to do anything. I'm that Atman. Really? You don't feel yourself as the Atman. You feel yourself as the body. So sorry. And this is where the instructions of the Guru and the spiritual disciplines which are necessary, it's not so easy. There are a long kind of list of qualifications necessary to be, and it's a very glamorous way of presenting truth or philosophy or reality. Yes, so short, so simple. Yes, it's the most simple. But you have to give up all your complexes. And that is why spiritual discipline is necessary. So, a man is liberated through the knowledge of the oneness of the Brahman and Atman only by following the instructions of a teacher. Why? Again, we find that the book is telling us about this reality, Atman, Brahman. Everything is in the book? No. There is a long oral tradition. It's a thousand years old oral tradition. Everything is not in the book. It's like just looking at the iceberg and it's just a tip there. The rest of the berg is in the water. So there's a long oral tradition regarding what? Not regarding the conclusions, but regarding the practices that are required. And that has to be handed down, is handed down from one generation to the next, slowly, over and over and over. From the guru to the disciple, then the disciple becomes the guru. So it goes on and on. So that reminds me of, there was one monk who was a great Vedantin. And all Vedantins also, they fall sick, you know. And so he had gone to the doctor, and the doctor said, it's a gallbladder, you know, and then you've got to take it off. Something gallbladder or spleen, whatever, something. I'm not too sure. So, oh, take it off. I'm not the body. It's all right. And it happened in one of our centers, you know, the Ramakrishna Mission. All right. And the doctor also was a little, he knew a little Vedanta. So when the day of the operation was there, scheduled and all this, the monk is brought in and saying, no, I don't want any anesthesia. So the doctor says, no, it's going to be painful. I'm not the body. I'm not the mind also. I'm the Atman. And he's quoting from the Bhagavad Gita, Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pa, nachainam kledayanta. The self, the Atman, cannot be cut, it cannot be dried, it cannot be wetted, it cannot be burnt. So the doctor also, like, he also had read a little Vedanta. So he takes a scalpel and he's showing it to the monk. And the monk now is fully concentrated. And then suddenly, the monk he jumps out of his bed before the anesthesia, anything, before it can cut. Sab jhoot hai, sab jhoot. All this is lies, all this is lies. What? Vedanta is all lies. So all this time, he was thinking, I'm not the body, I'm the Atman, I'm not the body, I'm the Atman. But there was no spiritual practice behind that. There was no concentration, no tapasya. So it was only words. And when the crunch time came, and the doctor also showing him the scalpel, showing the various scalpels, there, he chickened out. So, otherwise Vedanta becomes a joke. Yes, such a great philosophy. So many people have kind of dedicated their lives for this. Has become a joke in the hands of, oh, I'm the other. So I'd gone once, I remember, to a center. And so I was talking about them, saying, oh, no, we don't have anything to do. Nothing much, nothing to be done. So I looked at him, all right. And it was actually during lunchtime, and I was busy with my lunch. I'm the Atman. I'm the Atman. So I said, you're the Atman only when you drop the I. You're emphasizing I. First you start emphasizing the Atman. And then it becomes a little better for you. But he couldn't get it. You know, he's been so much, they've put so much Vedanta into him that now he's just, I am the Atman. It's a validation of one's own weaknesses, etc. This is the reason why Vedanta wants you to get the instructions from a competent person, follow the instructions diligently, and then you will realize. And it is realizable like the fruit in the palm of one hand, directly perceived. Twenty-ninth, by negating all the upadhis through the help of the scriptural statement, it is not this, it is not this. Realize and know the oneness of the individual soul and the Supreme Soul by means of the great Vedic aphorism. Now this is very important, Not this, not this. How do you, what's happening? Not this, not this. You negate all the limiting adjuncts. We have spoken about what upadhi is. I want to repeat it. By negating all the upadhis, gross or physical, mental, intellectual, etc., everything. When you say, how do you negate it? There is something called, in the Upanishads, it is saying, it is not this, it is not this. It is not the physical. It's a long list of na rasva, na lohita, na sneha, na chaya, na tapo, etc. No, 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 no. And then neti, neti, not this, Atman. The Atman is not this, not this. It is eliminating all forms of conceptions. Yes, don't even approach Vedanta with a baggage of conceptions and try to fit Vedanta into your baggage. Oh, I've got a little place in my bags. Put that Vedanta here. No, no, no. You throw those bags out and then approach Vedanta. So you're not this, not this, not this. As you climb the mountain, you're going with a huge, you can say, load of things. And then as you climb up, you start, because those things itself will hinder your progress. So slowly and slowly you start dropping things off. So it's like not this, not this. I'll read the Sanskrit for those who follow the Sanskrit. Nishiddhya nikhilo upadi neti neti iti vakyatah vidyad aikyam mahavakyer jiva atma paramatma no. So the jiva atma and paramatma. So in this we are for a few days we have been discussing Vedanta. Suddenly if you tell somebody, you tell a drop of water, that you are actually not a drop of water. You are the Pacific Ocean. Pacific because it's nearby, beyond the coast. So what will that drop of water say? No, no, not possible. What rubbish. But that itself is from where that drop of water had come. So what happens? It's like there's a saying, if you can see the ocean in a drop of water, that is knowledge. If you can see in your own Atman, the Brahman, that is what. What is this Brahman? I don't know. Yes. So it means that you have to move from this smallness to something which is your real nature. And that smallness is these upadhis. These things have to. Now, there's space here and there's space there and there's space here. We don't acknowledge that space. We acknowledge each other. We don't bring that into the equation, the calculations. Now, if this space says, I am separate, we know what it is. This is part of the other thing. So, your life is part of all life, because you cannot live alone. You cannot live alone. You live because others are alive. Yes. If others die, you also die. So this itself will start making you come out of your own individual limitations. Oh, this air that I breathe, the prana, everybody is breathing. So that's a common denominator. Everything is. So it is there in everybody. And I have a mind and everything has a mind. So slowly what happens is you're not breaking those limitations, like take a sledgehammer and break it. That not this is not breaking it down. Like I want to break this down. How? I want to see the Atman and complete. That's not the way. You have to transcend those limitations and see what is running me is common to all, and then finally come down to what is consciousness. Okay, that also is everywhere. Then we'll see how this, what obstructs knowledge of the Atman has got two, individual and the collective. It's always samashti and vyashti. Okay, I think we get this it's more or less kind of clear. So this Atman, as I said, there was a friend of mine. He was trying to be a doctor, and then not he's already here. So and then there was a patient who had come in, and he was supposed to be operated. And those days, open heart surgery, that's very common. For anything, they'll open there. So it's a very simple village, you can say, rustic person. He had come. And then the operation went off well and everything is. So after his convalescing, so he asked that, he was the intern, my friend, intern or something. Okay, you opened everything. Yes, everything's fine. We opened it and we closed it. Okay, did you see the Atman there? That? So my friend was like an atheist type. No. There's no Atman and all that. And that person got a big shock of his life. Oh my God. And his sugar had gone up, his pressure had gone up, and all these things. And he was going all right, and suddenly, now, what happened? There's this, no, there's no Atman there. We never saw anything. It was Atman. That old man had all his life had come to believe and have faith and that there is Atman inside. Okay? And when you open it, there you'll see. Like maybe he thought like Hanuman, Hanuman is open. Yeah, you see Rama inside. Or something like that. So these guys had opened, but they now saw the Atman. And now he's worried. What all these things that they are talking about is good? The mistake that he made was, he thought that the Atman is in the body, in the gross body. It can be seen through something else. Again, that same thing, that you need another Atman to see another Atman. So he believed it truly, but he had placed it in a different location, in the physical body. And then there's something called beyond, there is a subtle body, and then there's the cause of that, the causal body. And behind the whole thing is the Atman. So he had thought that the upadhi of this physical body is the repository of the Atman. So we must, when we are deliberating on Vedanta, you must know where it is. So that's why the individual upadhi is the physical, the subtle, or the mind, etc., and the causal. That has to be eliminated. And then you come down to the jiva, the individual consciousness. Now this is on the individual level. On the collective level, on the collective level, like how is it? Like Vedanta gives the example. There's a forest, the collective, and there's a tree inside. There are many trees. You take one. If you look at that one tree, it's an individual tree, but it is within a forest. So you have to be within the collective. Some people say, let me go to the Himalayas and let me meditate on the top of the Himalayas. I tell you, you will not survive. Because you cannot survive alone. Then who will give you food? You cannot survive only on meditation. If you are going to the highest levels of meditation, you can, but not. So the collective, so think of the collective like a vast forest and the individuals as trees in that forest. So the individual is always within the collective. It depends on how you see. You might miss the forest for the trees, as you say. So the collective, what is that called? All the collective jivas that are there, including that trees and everything, and all the upadhis. It's called Ishvara. Okay? The collective is called Ishvara, and the individual consciousness is called Jiva. Even that is the upadhi of what? Of Ishvara. So what does the Ishvara has? Ishvara is responsible for creation and preservation and destruction, because this world, like it's very, if you look at it, it's very intelligent. It knows how to manage itself. Yeah. Every cell also is so intelligent. So it's running the whole thing. It needs kind of some omniscience. And to run things also you need some power. Sri Ramakrishna will say that if a person is called a babu, that's a gentleman, and if the gentleman does not have any property, etc., no wealth, who is going to listen to him? Yeah, that is not a babu. Sri Ramakrishna also so if God does not have any powers, and who's going to go to God? So omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence, etc. That is Ishvara. So the upadhi of Ishvara is the collective, physical, mental, intellect, all these limitations collectively up. But he has a power over them. While in an individual on the tree level, we are under that tree, sitting under that tree, inside the tree. So we are overpowered by these upadhis. God, Ishvara, overpowers his upadhi. That's the difference between Ishvara and Jiva. Now, what do? You get rid of this. Ishvara does not have to get rid of it, don't worry. We have to get rid of it. So where is that Ishvara? Everywhere. Specifically here. Don't go there. Oh, that's the Ishvara. Please. Like a tree is within a forest, so Ishvara is also within here in this individual. The individual and the collective, Ishvara and Jiva, are two faces of the same thing, individual, collective. It's not different, because Vedanta will not like to have these two things separate. It removes all separations. It has to be. And how do you, then you say, okay, then, and what about Brahman? Oh, Brahman is beyond all this. It's absolute. Huh? It's like space between the trees. If you have a forest, You cannot have no space between the trees. So space is there between the trees. But it is without form. So this is what beyond Jiva and Ishvara. Your first job is to get identified with the collective, with Ishvara. That is the experience of the Saguna Brahman, Brahman qualities. Ishvara is called Saguna Brahman. When you feel one time in your life, you will say, I am the universe. Who are you? I am the universe. This comes. I am the Atman. Yeah. First, you get identified with everything which is connected to this body, mind, senses, etc. So I am the universe. This is the highest state. Yes. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna says that even after you attain the formless Nirguna Brahman, then you come down and... So, Swami Shardananda was Swami Vivekananda's brother disciple who wrote Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanganda, Sri Ramakrishna in divine play. So Sri Ramakrishna, what realization do you like? What experience? They say, oh, I want to experience Brahman in all beings. Huh? But that's the last word in spiritual life. He said, Sarva Bhute Brahma Darshan. That's the last word. I don't want anything else. I want this. So Sri Ramakrishna said, okay, you will get it. So you got it. So when you think, I'm the Atman, etc., etc., you're feeling your body. But there will come a time when you will say, I'm the Atman. You will feel the whole universe as yourself. That's why in Vedanta, this is the only rational system that lays down why you should be moral. Because you are yourself, all these are yourself multiplied. Yes. So the idea of oneness is the basis of all morality. Nobody has to come and say, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. No. It's spontaneous. Morality and everything will become spontaneous. Today, Swamiji says, which person says that, which person denies the oneness? Every branch of science is trying to tell you about oneness only. Okay. So Sri Ramakrishna, in his inimitable style, he speaks about this. He's telling Hazara, why do you address the pure Atman, that is Brahman, as Ishvara? The pure Atman is inactive and the witness of the three states. Nishkriya is beyond all activity and the witness of all the three states. When I think of the acts of creation, preservation and destruction, then I call that pure Atman Ishvara. What is the pure Atman like? It's like a magnet lying at a great distance from a needle. The needle moves, but the magnet lies motionless, inactive. So that Brahman, the pure Atman, the Brahman, is beyond everything. But when that very aspect is responsible for the creation, preservation, destruction, Sri Ramakrishna says, I call that as Ishvara. So this is. And in the note says that we have the four great sayings, Mahavakyas. And this is well known. We don't need to go. So you eliminate, you transcend these upadhis, limitations, and you get into this absolute. Then you feel connected to the whole. What is the experience of the Atman? You will feel connected to the whole. You are connected, but you want to deny. You have become. That is the work of the ordinary ego. That ego you have to think, that is the work of this. The next verse is okay. We can, I think, stop here because we've. But there is another point I wanted to make. It's on Tattva Jnana, Kena Upanishad. So this Tattva Jnana is the knowledge of the Tattva. So here also there's another quote from Sri Ramakrishna. Tattva Jnana, knowledge of the Tattva, the Jiva and the Brahman itself. So he say, Hazra began to explain what is Tattva Jnana. Jnana is knowledge. The meaning, and he's a comedian there. He's a kind of a trickster there. The meaning of Tattva Jnana is the knowledge of the existence of the 24 Tattvas or cosmic principles. In the Sankhya philosophy, you have these 24 cosmic principles. Starts with the mind and the universal sense of I, and then from there comes the 5 cosmic sense organs, and then from there the 5 pranas, and then the 5 great elements, etc. The 24, long list. But he didn't enumerate them like this. So he's saying he was wrong about the meaning of the word. The devotee, what are they? Then the 5 elements, the 6 passions, the 5 organs of perception, the 5 organs of action, and so forth, etc. etc. He's saying. M to the master smiling. He says the 6 passions are included in the 24 cosmic principles. So Sri Ramakrishna is smiling. Listen to him. Notice how he explains Tattva Jnana. Then the word really means knowledge of the self. Sri Ramakrishna says, the word Tat means the supreme self, and the word Tvam, Tat Tvam, the embodied soul. One attains supreme knowledge, Tattva Jnana, by realizing the identity of the embodied soul and the supreme self, Paramatma. So this embodied soul and the supreme self, that Tat, Brahman is called Tat. Om Tat Satidi. So that Tat. And Tvam, you. This, the identity is one. That is Tattva Jnana, knowledge of Tattvas. So Hazra, thanks to Hazra, he made it clear for all of us. We also would have got Tattva Jnana, means like we are like more or less like Hazras only, don't worry. Before we can, tomorrow there's a kind of a special Karma Yoga day at the Tapovan, because it's a prep for the 2-day retreat, meditation retreat by the nuns from San Francisco. They're coming. So on the 14th, 15th. So those who are free and those who would like to purify their minds for free can go to Tapovan and do some Karma Yoga. Sunday, the self and its shadow. So followed by a QA at 10 a.m. And 9:50 we have Mother's Children, Sunday school. And Sunday also 4 p.m. There will be a devotional group. It's like a kind of a kirtan group led by Raka Banerjee. She leads the songs for the Ramnam as a group that practices these songs that we sing to Ramnam. So it's as I say, a jam session. You can come. Om Shanti 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 Harihi